Hello, I'm Harry Harding, and welcome to my new online series. These are troubling and uncertain times for actors, and indeed for the theatre industry. So I thought, whilst we're all locked down, I would keep in touch with my fellow creatives by talking about our favourite subject: ourselves. In this series, I'll be interviewing fellow actors and creatives on everything from their favourite roles to dream castings to funny backstage mishaps and more. But before we proceed, please don't swear, and please don't say Macbeth. Oh, hang on a minute. Cue the titles. My guest this episode is writer, director, filmmaker Petros Ioannou. Petros is an award-winning writer, director and general filmmaker, both behind the camera and sometimes in front of it too. He trained in filmmaking at the New York Film Academy and has worked in film and television for over a decade. He has also founded his own production company, Leon Films. In 2012, he raised $32,000 to fund his first original digital series, My Life as a Video Game. Since then, he has won the award for Best Screenplay at the 2013 Saint-Tropez Film Festival and has produced multiple short films and music videos. He was also the director and cinematographer on Sisters of House Black, a Harry Potter-inspired film on YouTube. Written by and starring actor-creator Kelsey Ellison, the film went on to win the award for Best Original Content and was chosen for the Buffer Festival official selection. Petros' work has been seen by millions worldwide, and he has spoken on panels at London Comic Con and several other conventions. He also runs an online video essay series teaching the ins and outs of filmmaking and storytelling called Leon Unity Lessons, with plans to soon launch a new in-depth course. Petros, welcome to this special Filmmakers edition. Please don't swear and please don't say Macbeth.
But you just did.
You're quite right there. Nobody's ever picked me up on that before. You're the first. So how have you been in lockdown then? Have you been throwing yourself into projects?
Yeah, mostly just keeping myself occupied with basically doing as much stuff that will keep me creatively occupied, keep my mental health a little bit stronger. Just doing things on YouTube, trying to put some creative stuff back out into the world, because what I like to do in my spare time is a lot of tutorials and writing tutorials, filmmaking tutorials, teaching people the craft, and giving something back to the community that has given so much to me.
So you trained in screenwriting at the New York Film Academy, and you also lived and worked as a filmmaker in Los Angeles. And that is an incredible achievement and adventure, to not only learn your craft out there, but to live and work in, I think it's fair to say, the land of movies. What was that experience like?
It's a quite a different world out there, honestly. I initially lived in New York for a year when I was doing the first half of my masters, and I did the second half in LA, and that's when I decided to stay there. There's both more and less opportunity out there in that sense, and that there's more people out there. It's like half the city in some form or fashion is working in the entertainment industry. So there's always somebody working on some new project. But at the same time, I feel like the amount you get paid to do these work, to do anything on this, basically, is always like, sometimes people are always like, oh yeah, just do it for the craft, do it for the art, and it's not quite the way that works. You still got to pay rent and everything. There's definitely a certain level of almost excessive creative output out there that everybody is trying to network with everybody, and it can be a little bit difficult and a little bit draining mentally sometimes. Whether somebody is just trying to be your mate, or if they're just trying to use you for your connections, basically. So you do end up developing a bit of a guard in that way. I was, to a certain extent, I wouldn't change it for anything, because it's really nice to be in an arena that is just 100% creative. Basically, it's everybody is working in some fashion. There's always something. It really caters to the part of me that is both a writer, an actor, director, everything. So it's like I could be doing one thing one week and then going home working on my own thing, and then the next week I'm working as an actor. So it's there's so many opportunities out there that you really get to just flex those creative muscles.
And what an incredible experience that must have been for you. And of course, you met your fiancée out there. Are you planning to move there in the near future?
Actually, she's planning to move here next year. We were planning on this year, but due to the crisis, we've decided to postpone it. We're going to have our wedding here, and which it's been a bit frustrating. She's gone through a lot of stuff in her life. I had some visa issues initially with the United States, and then she went through a second bout of cancer, which in order to get the treatment, she had to stay in the States, basically. And then finally, we found like we were ready for the wedding. We actually put a deposit down and everything on the location. And then 2020 happened. We definitely thought about doing kind of like they call it bi-coastal in the States, when people live in like one coast and the other. It'd be more like bi-continental, but it would definitely be a lot of moving back and forth. It's kind of like, there's certain months, especially in LA, where the film industry just shuts down. It's basically everything after Thanksgiving. It's everybody goes home and then doesn't really bother coming back until awards season, which is usually in late January, awards season, pilot season, that sort of time. So during that period, we'd probably just spend it at least in the UK. And then there's also other months, like my birthday is in May, so probably spend some time here if there wasn't a project in the works at the time. So it's initially we'd probably move here, but in an ideal world with a lot of money, I'd like to go back and forth a lot.
So you wrote, directed, and starred in your very first digital series, My Life as a Video Game, which I have had the pleasure of viewing and was very nearly a part of.
Kara, where are you? Menu. Is there any way out of this that doesn't end in my death via AK vivisection?
What's the magic word?
Now, the production value on that, I have to say, was outstanding, quite honestly.
Thank you.
It's so impressive. What was the story behind the creation of this venture and the sort of process of getting it off the ground?
The long version made short, basically, is it literally all started because I got drunk. And I've been playing, I'd have a lot of time off, I think, around about Christmas. I was still doing my masters at the time. And I was watching a friend of mine in the pub, and he was talking to me and asking me some questions. And I like one of these sort of like video game style dialogue wheels came up in my mind of like, how should I respond to the question? And then just slowly little ideas started seeping out of that. And as you do when you've got a little bit of the sauce in you. And I wrote some of it down, and then the funny thing was, like, the very next time when I got back to LA to continue doing the masters, we were starting a section of the course which was all about writing web series. And I thought to myself, you know what, this might actually be an interesting idea. Why don't I do one where a guy has delusions that he's living inside of a video game, that his life is like a video game. And then being myself and slightly insane, I decided to take that one step beyond as things went on, and eventually it spiraled out of control into this like big concept where he actually gets sucked into the video game, and it's more than just like his real life with video game overlays, but he's actually in the video game. And originally we were going to take actual video games, but there was copyright issues, so we just thought, let's just ignore that for now and go with what's a lot more functional, basically, and create like our own one, especially because we could have like marketed that and made money off it, which is, you know, not always the end goal, but always a nice plus. What really changed it for me, though, was I started to get into YouTube a little bit, and I went to a conference in LA called VidCon because one of my favorite YouTubers have been talking about it for months, and that was when kind of everything in my mind about how the way filmmaking and the way storytelling is being changed online. And it really was a like defining moment in my life and my career that I was just like, right, I've got to do something big on the internet and do it for YouTube. I really want to do something that just gives to the people basically directly. And I just really wanted to do it. So I started learning all about Kickstarter and things like that. So we raised $32,000 with the help of my friend Brent Black, aka Brenselfloss, on YouTube. And so I'm hugely grateful, because if it wasn't for him, at the time he had about 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he now has like close to 500,000. But he acted in the series as a floating head, and then we just took it. Just one thing led to another, and before I knew it, we were making this series. And there was definitely some times where I was freaking out, and I'm pretty sure I gave myself a stomach ulcer, but worth every second.
And it was a fantastically entertaining and, as I said, extremely well made online series. So thank you for that.
Thank you for watching.
So it's fair to say that you've been extremely successful with your production company, Leon Films, producing multiple films and music videos, as well as online tutorial teaching filmmaking. So what are your future intentions for Leon Films? Are there plans to expand? And most importantly of all, is there a role for me in one of your upcoming films?
There is a feature film idea that I've been working on for a while. Now it's running under the current title of Bitten, which I want you yourself, Harry, to play the lead role in. I think it's going to be a very interesting story. It's set in sort of it's a post-apocalyptic world, like The Walking Dead, where it's about a guy who's been bitten and is slowly decaying away, and he's taking a drug to keep himself alive so he can like make it back to go and see his estranged wife and son and just say goodbye to them, basically. And he's trying to give himself the last few moments. So far the idea is it's a bit of a depressing story, but it's I think the core theme about it, and with all science fiction really, is kind of about hope and giving people a message and teaching people things for the future, basically. So I think that's something I want to put together for that, and I think it'll be an interesting production.
It would be an honour to work with you on a film. You heard it here first, viewers. I mean, that's practically a contract right there. Just make a note of that. And as for Leon Films, what's the future of your production company looking like?
Yes. So right now we do a lot of Leon Films does a lot of work with corporate enterprises, and we do a lot of like video, especially right now with the COVID crisis and everything. We do a lot of stuff where we shoot product videos, brand videos, short films for companies. We're moving a little more into live streaming and things like that, which is why my live streaming setup here is using a bit more of an advanced camera than you'd normally see. I think one of the things that will be very interesting is we've got a few short films in the works right now. We're working on something with a couple of other YouTubers. As you know, Harry, because you did make a very small little cameo in it. We just finished a Harry Potter fan film called Sisters of House Black, and Kelsey and I, the writer and lead actress on that, have been working on a couple of other projects that we're working towards. And in addition to that previously mentioned Bitten film, I'm also looking to Leon Films is also looking to adapt some of my other previous work into potential features, and maybe even bring back My Life as a Video Game if we can get the opportunity to.
I hope so. Us fans have been pining for a second series for some time now.
No one wants it more than I do, believe me.
Now that very nicely has set me up for my next question. So I was going to bring up your hugely successful collaborations with actor and creator Kelsey Ellison. So you co-starred in and directed horror series Parallel Sins. And of course, you directed and did the cinematography for her Harry Potter fan film, Sisters of House Black, which you just mentioned, of course.
You will never see her again. If you do, you will meet the same fate.
Our family is the noble and most ancient house of Black. You will all contribute to carrying on a pure magical bloodline.
Do you think this dark wizard really exists?
I know he does. Rodolphus Lestrange is the one to talk to.
This has to stay between me. I need you to keep an open mind. You really shouldn't have betrayed me. Or our family.
You obviously have a really good working relationship and a strong friendship, which is just lovely. Now, how did your paths cross initially, and what has your journey together been like so far?
How did our paths cross initially?
It's going to be another story that starts with, well, I was quite drunk.
Yes. Quite literally. There was I think it was a Halloween. It was like a Halloween come Christmas party because they were closing down the place for the YouTube studios in King's Cross and Pancras, and we my friend Monty had taken me there because she was quite popular on YouTube. I went there. I ran to a few friends, and they had this like sort of catwalk of costumes because everyone was in like Halloween costumes and things like that, and there was this girl walking down the aisle dressed as 11 from Stranger Things, and that was Kelsey. And basically, I didn't know, but I thought her costume was awesome, and she was an amazing dancer and everything. I thought, so I was cheering her, and then I got to meet her through my friend Monty, who was already friends with her. Now, apparently, Kelsey and I had actually technically been at the same conventions before as guests, but I don't think I'd actually met her yet. So it was definitely new meeting her, and that we didn't really stay that much in touch. Just like when I think we all went out that night and yes, had a bit to drink. And I think the next time we actually technically the next time we saw each other was when we were both working on Solo, a Star Wars story, which she saw me she was working as an extra. She was on the opposite side of this basically like swamp set, whereas I was as one of the extras. She actually got a speaking role, was credited and everything. Whereas on the other hand, well, I probably actually had just as many days and everything, and theoretically speaking, I play a larger role because I'm actually the back of Han Solo's head on quite a few shots because I body doubled for my greatest claim to fame is that I'm the back of Han Solo's head in Solo. Kelsey could see me, but didn't want to be calling out across the quiet set. Hey, is that you, Petros? Like across an entire set, just like, yeah, hi. I can't actually see you through all the makeup and everything, but
oh, that's why I heard someone in when I was watching Solo the other night shout, "Petros, is that you?" in a northern accent.
Well, funny enough, apparently somebody asked her what her name was, and she thought she said, "Where are you from?" And she said Barnsley. So literally everybody, right all the way to Ron Howard himself, was calling her Barnsley for like 2 weeks on set.
That's a fantastic story. I love that.
And she did correct them, but she was like, no, you're Barnsley now. And I think like she didn't want to correct Ron Howard. Like,
that's it. She's Barnsley from now on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for telling me that.
And so, when she started doing crowdfunding for Sisters of House Black, I, having had experience in this sort of arena, just got in touch with her. And I said, look, how can I help you with this? And bit by bit, little things were coming out. And I was starting to move a little more into directing and cinematography at the time as well. And we ended up chatting basically about what she needed. She was looking for a new DP and director. The original director had dropped out, and we had a new director on board, Tom Fisher, who co-directed it with me. Mostly during the production, he was handling the actors while I was handling the camera. And then by the end, on the last like 2-3 days, I had to do both. But that's not neither here nor there. But we worked really well together, and we all got along really well. I got on really well with Hannah, who played Narcissa in the movie, who was also a producer on it. And eventually, we just decided to make it, and it took us about 9 months of filming in total. But that was mostly due to scheduling conflicts, because we only actually shot on, I think, 13 days in total. And then the editing took about 6 months, basically. I put myself through hell because I edited the whole thing and did all the visual effects on it. It's just such a nightmare.
It sounds it. I think I'll stick to iMovie.
But it was all, I mean, as you know, it was all worth it in the end. Not just because of the way it's been received, but it's given me friendships that I will cherish for the rest of my life. As you know, being one of the groom's guard at my wedding, you're actually going to be alongside Kelsey herself as well, who's also going to be a member of the groom's guard. Brilliant.
Well, I'll have to get in touch with Barnsley and talk about our costumes. So, Petros, now, I normally ask my guests about a dream role that they'd love to play. But as this is the Filmmaker special, what I thought I'd ask you is there a dream film that you would love to make and or direct?
Absolutely. It's a rotating number 1 and 2, but I think number 1 probably would be a Superman film. Superman as a character through the Christopher Reeve movies, and then like later the Dean Cain series and the animated series, has been a huge influence on me during my life. And I feel like the last few movies, not that some people really enjoyed Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I personally didn't. I got to meet the director Zack Snyder, which was when I was working on Justice League, and he is also actually one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He was really cool, really fun, really nice to all the extras. But I would love to make a Superman movie because I just don't feel like it's really been made the way. Like, there hasn't been a modern Superman movie yet. Like, the Christopher Reeve movies, they're fantastic, they're hopeful, they're inspiring. Who would I cast? I actually would keep Henry Cavill in the role. Because I think he's actually a really talented actor who just hasn't been given the right chance yet. And if you read about him in interviews, he absolutely loves Superman as a character. The other thing would be Star Trek.
Of course.
Which, I think was the first thing you and I ever bonded over when I was drawing a picture of the Enterprise in the back of my maths textbook.
I remember it well, like it was yesterday.
I would love to make a Star Trek movie.
With your Star Trek movie, would you make an original film with an original cast and ship, or would you want to remake a pre-existing film?
I'd really just kind of be happy with whatever I got, really. I would love to make something original with a new cast and crew. I've had loads of ideas with that.
You've certainly written enough fan fiction.
Yeah, back in the day, we both wrote enough fan fiction back in the day, and I would absolutely love to adapt some of it, because I actually found a whole bunch of it relatively recently, and I was like, actually, some of these ideas aren't that bad. Well, I would love to actually adapt. It's kind of being done already with the new series Star Trek Picard, and bringing back Patrick Stewart. But I would really love to do something with Patrick Stewart and Jean-Luc Picard. Alternatively, I would love to do something with the Chris Pine crew, because I think they're all still relatively young. You can definitely do something unique and interesting that you can't really do with the older crews now. But I'd love to do something where, like, this is like, if we're talking dream scenario, let's get all the casts and do some big crossover with every, like, let's have Chris Pine and Patrick Stewart. Let's have William Shatner and Chris Pine. Let's have Avery Brooks and Kate Mulgrew and Scott Bakula. Bring them all in.
What is the future looking like for you? Do you have any projects coming up that you would perhaps like to talk about?
Well, I just finished a short film called Bump back in February, just before lockdown began. That is going to film festivals later this year. I've been working on a couple of other ideas here and there, but mostly what I've been doing the last few months has been this YouTube stuff. So hopefully that turns out pretty well and people enjoy that. People have been enjoying the series and teaching people how to write. I'm planning on doing 2 new courses, which will be selling online, which is how to self-film yourself, basically, going from like all I have is a phone and house lights to professional setup and changing color backgrounds and getting a rim light on you and everything and making sure everything looks really good and high quality. And then there's another one which is like how to make your first independent film, basically, on no budget. That's another course I've been working on. So I'd really like to write and direct my first feature film, and I've got so many scripts I would love to produce through that. Like the one I'm working on with you, like for you starring Bit, and there's also a script I wrote a few years ago called Red Sun, which won the award at San Tropez Film Festival for best screenplay. I've wanted to adapt that into a graphic novel and then adapt it into a film from that. And I've got so many ideas I want to do. I would love to bring back My Life as a Video Game because I do love acting still. I've thought about adapting Parallel Sins into a feature film. I think that this whole crisis has put everyone through a bit of a loop, so I'm still not exactly sure where the future lies right now. But assuming things get a bit better for everybody, I would really like to continue doing what I'm doing and try and make things better for everyone by just providing entertainment and providing kind of like educational lessons through both the creative content and the stuff I put on YouTube.
I thoroughly look forward to all of those potential projects, and I do genuinely hope that you get to make them in the future. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you're a very busy man, and I do appreciate your time. It's been so nice to talk to you and catch up and share some stories.
Absolutely.
Take care of yourself. Stay well and stay safe.
Thank you. You too. If anyone wants to follow me on social media, they can follow me at Petros of Sparta or Leon Unity on YouTube. But mostly, just don't forget to subscribe and like this video.
Live long and prosper, old friend.
Peace and long life.
If you would like to be a guest on Series 2 of Don't Say Macbeth, then you can send me a private message on Facebook or Instagram. Or if you're lucky enough to have my telephone number, you can send me a WhatsApp message.